Hey guys, I just want to let you know that I had we had technical difficulties recording my part of the video and stuff, so that's why there's some stuff happening.
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of the TCGScrubs podcast. I'm here with
TCGScrubs, Joe.
Oscar.
And yeah, so we had a couple things to talk about. We just had the first GP of the season happen, which is pretty cool. And we have instead of doing Roto of the Week, we're actually going to do our favorite cards ever in Force of Will and talk about why that is and different things like that. So that'll be kind of fun. That includes Wanderer and all that. And quick thanks to our patrons. Patreon.com/TCGScrubs if you want to support us. We have a mini podcast we do there every week, and we'll have another one this week as well. And yeah, it's just a cool way to support us, and it all goes straight back into the channel. It's the reason this podcast happens. There's various other things we're going to be doing that you guys will see here soon. And you can join our Discord and Facebook to converse with other people of similar mindsets. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get into it. So the GP just happened this past weekend, and it was actually really cool because DMO73 along with Stephanie Shaw actually commentated the entire thing start to finish while webcam or cameras over showing the actual gameplay. So they commentated matches, gave insight, had interviews with players and stuff like that, and kind of had an interview with the CEO. It's kind of weird, but it was a lot of fun to watch. I watched almost the entire thing with minus probably 4 hours at the beginning of day 1 and day 2 just because I sleep, but it was a lot of fun. And so we're actually able to see the decks we're about to talk about in action rather than speculate about them, at least some of them, and different things like that. So what were I don't know if you watched the stream or not, Joey, but Joey and Oscar, what were your impressions of the GP this weekend?
That was pretty awesome. I mean, it was 100 players, first GP. Yeah, it wasn't a lot, and there's people arguing about it being the lowest for a first GP of the season. But overall, the stream itself was pretty awesome. It's better than the ones we had before where the field is cramped and it's kind of low quality and there's zero sound.
Yeah. No, I love commentary too, especially when you have trouble seeing the cards. Having them tell you what's happening as well as talk about potential strategies and stuff is awesome. All right, so Joey, what did you think of the GP over the weekend and the different things that happened there?
Oh well, thanks for asking, Colin. I really liked the main thing that I was super enthused about was IU didn't seem like she was broken or could be played around or so it seems like a lot of people might have been jumping to conclusions and doomsaying. I think Lumia had probably the strongest showing, it seemed like, with some of the new deck list coming out. Personally, I really love the fair list that somebody had, and I think all three in the top 8 were more usually it's this Maria Bella red green build, more aggro-y, but all three of these fair lists were a swarm shell with Command of the Crowd, which was nobody plays Command of the Crowd in regular the old fair list. So this is really interesting seeing that, and the thing is I would imagine this fair list blew the other fair list out of the water, and that's probably why it was being played. When these people were play testing, they probably decided oh man, this fair list beats the other fair list, and it beats Lumia semi-consistently, and it can hold up against IU. So this is why they were playing it. But something really cool, I saw there was a planting beans combo where you planting beans your fair king of the elves or king of the something or other fair the forecast resonator, and then you bring them you tap 5 elves and you bring them out of your graveyard, and that's super cool because for example you could you could play commander on turn 3, and that's 4 elves out. Wait until their turn, wait until the end of their turn, and then tap 5 elves and bring out fair king of the elves, and that that's a huge power play without risking your opponent attacking your elves or doing anything really with them. So those kind of the swarm idea and having fair be a different shell. I know a lot of people like to shit on back when Reflector Frame was OP and stuff. I thought it was okay because eventually, and a couple times there were different deck shells that just featured the same ruler. So like there was like Aggro Refractor Flame, and then there was like Alice World Refractor Flame, and there's all these different like Refractor Flame decks, but there were different deck shells. And so I think that's pretty cool with Fair, where like you can go like green black, and like you can go the green red variant, which was I guess old now, but or this new Fair variant, which I thought was interesting. Didn't even play Teal Letter Lyle or the White Falcon. Like they didn't play any copies of that. So it's like that's just super interesting to me that somebody he's flexible enough to have some interesting decks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, and I'm a huge fan of Fair. Like when I was brewing him and playing him, I think he's fun to play. But anyways,
that is true. Like I didn't really notice that none of these were like that usual green red version. They're all a little bit something different. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and we got some interesting Lumia decks that I forget the specifics of it, but they ran a lot of cool, interesting cards. They all ran a similar deck list because it was all the one team. Which team was it?
OTG.
Yeah, it was OTG. So I'm pretty sure all 4 of the Lumias in the top 8 were OTG. I could be wrong, but so they had some pretty cool deck ideas behind there. I mean, I think it was Aaron that was being interviewed by Jeremy on the stream, was saying that one of the big reasons it did well is just because of the surprise thing. People weren't necessarily ready for Lumia. Not necessarily that Lumia is bad overall, but he thinks that on average, Fair is going to beat out Lumia, but they were able to beat out Fair because Fair wasn't prepared or had the necessary cards to counter Lumia, which there are easy ways to counter that type of deck they're doing. So we might see a bigger presence of Lumia after this GP, but I don't think it'll be necessarily indicative of what it'll be in top 8 because, like he was saying, Fair just does better than it in certain aspects, especially in this very green-heavy format, which everyone seemed to acknowledge too much green, but it's not. It could be worse. We had a decent deck variety. I mean, top 8 was low less than I was hoping. It almost had 4 different rulers in top 8. We were really close. But could be worse.
I guess the crazy part is I'm looking at the GP calendar, and the next one is our Richardson one, which is sealed, so you won't see these rulers in the top. And then the one that does appear after that is not until April, so the new set would have already been out. But who knows what it'll do to attendance.
That's a good point. Yeah, we're gonna be going into that. To be fair, you could see the same ruler in sealed.
It could just be support that can help them, but it could also just be something completely different.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how sealed goes as well. I'm hoping that they do, because they did run a bunch of side events during this. You were talking about it, Oscar? What side events did they run at this GP?
I don't know if they fired off, but they're trying to just run different things like sealed events, get ready for sealed GPs, Wanderer tournaments, stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm hoping we have that at ours as well. A lot of people were pretty excited about that. And I forget where I was going with that. Something about GPs was interesting. So we'll see how our GP does with the turnout and everything. I feel like, and casters is the other side thing they have going on, demoing casters. But I'm hoping that we have some of that, because I feel like people might be a similar mindset as me, where because you're just using a sealed deck, a lot of people might drop early on as soon as they lose 2 games or something like that.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to keep playing a deck that you don't really necessarily have any emotional attachment to. So the better thing is just to drop and try your hand at maybe another sealed theme or a Wanderer theme maybe they have. I'm hoping they announce if they do have something constructed related, because people won't bring it. But I'm pretty excited because I enjoy side events. We had that in Pokemon, and it was fun being able to be like, wow, we're doing pretty bad. I'm just going to drop and go do a draft tournament. And even if I don't do good, I get some cool cards and stuff like that, and something to fill the time.
I thought about that too, and I was like the other night just laying in bed like, that was nice when you'd go to Pokemon and have all these side events because people would drop, and I was like, the difference is the like attendance numbers. We go to states and there's like 500 people in Masters, and even if just the bottom tables drop out. It's like probably 80 people dropping out, enough to fill these tournaments up, as opposed to like Force of Will. When it's like, we're lucky if we get the 100 like they had this GP. 20 people drop out. Some of them might just go off and get something to eat, go do something else, or hang out. It's not guaranteed to fill these little side events up.
Well, it could just be a matter of preparation. If we know about the side events ahead of time, I didn't hear anything about the side events for this GP until it was happening. Mm-hmm. If people know side events are happening ahead of time, they'll be like, they can do what I'm doing and plan ahead and be like, oh, if there's side events, all right, as soon as I lose 2, I'm dropping out. I'm bringing all my cards in case there's constructed side events and stuff like that. I'm going to be ready for these.
Are the constructed side events going to be like let's say it's draft, like is it going to be like an 8-person side event? Or
usually 8's the minimum, but
well,
the smart thing for them to do would be 6. I feel like 6 would be the smart thing to do for them, because like you said, the attendance is lower.
Yeah. Speaking of the GP, I'm getting more pumped. Like the closer we get, we're like less than 3 weeks away from Richardson. I'll take a deck with me, so if anybody ever wants to play and y'all happen to be there and we're there, I know some people are going. We can just play some games with you guys if we're not doing much. It'll be fun. I'll take some trades as well.
I'll bring like my Panda deck so you could see what could have been if it was a constructed GP.
So and he's saying so y'all can destroy him, guys.
We'll see. I'm pretty there's one guy who sorry about my dogs. There's one guy who was there's 2 people I'm very proud of that was at this GP. One was running a Panda deck and one was running a Millium 1.0 deck. I didn't hear anything about the Millium guy, but the Panda guy, I mean, didn't do great, obviously, but he won 4 games out of the 7, and he said part of the reason he lost some of them was just this was his first ever GP and stuff like that. But it was a pretty interesting deck list. You'd like it, Joey. It had 4 Diver Pandas in it. But
yes, dude.
Oscar and I already played a game, and he had Diver Pandas. And
I put together a Panda deck, and I did kind of the way I was wanting to do it. It had water and green and white. But yeah, he was okay. He was alright.
He bounced one of my one-cost resonators.
Well, not just that, but there's a lot of times where it's like, I don't want to bounce that back to Colin's hand. He's going to play it again. It's going to get some added bonus coming in. So,
You're playing Diver Pandas wrong, man.
Diver Pandas are crap, Joey.
Diver Pandas is best.
It was pretty. What did you run? 4 colors, Oscar?
I did.
Yeah.
You had 4 color pandas?
Yeah. It wasn't too bad.
I had no issues with having the right colors or anything like that. It's just that Keurig, outpaced me and just really took me out.
Spoiler for a game that's going to come out at some point.
Yeah, they're fun.
Did you play the Darkness Panda?
I did. Jet. Cool. I did Jet. Yeah. But I only did them as a one-up because I didn't want to have too many of them. I put a couple little bombs here and there, and Jet was one of them.
Did you play the 5/5 Darkness Panda though?
No.
The 1 cost.
No, I had him.
That guy's...
I looked at him and I was like, it's okay. It's a 5/5. It's for what 1 or 2.
He also didn't run Shin Shin and Ray Ray either, or the 4 cost that recovers your 4 stones.
No, I did run that one.
Oh, you did? I didn't see it.
Well, because I never drew into it.
We had watched the GP stream and there was someone piloting a Keurig deck and it got me super hyped for Keurig, and so I built one. It was pretty awesome because there's a lot of counter support for him, so I was able to. I never flipped with less than 30 counters on him, just doing a crap ton of damage to the board.
He did one with like 40 or 48 counters.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
And then repopulate. And then I was so excited I forgot to repopulate 15 counters so I could keep doing it more. But yeah, enough about our games. But
back to the GP thing it was interesting overall. What was more interesting was the interview with the CEO, Ichi. And the reason why I say that is because we were like, oh, it's going to be a Q&A, that type of thing, like an interview, what questions you guys have. But then he kind of approaches it like, I thought he said he wasn't going to answer any questions. But it's also hard to understand him 100%. But he did answer a couple questions. It was just cool seeing him there. He was really excited, you can tell.
Yeah, I'll go over the stuff he went over on the news in case you guys are interested. It wasn't a whole lot of stuff, but like Oscar said, it was hard to tell, and it's kind of interesting interview. But you want to talk about first place and how the person won first place, Oscar?
Yeah, it was interesting. So it was.
We saw it live.
Yeah, we were watching as it happened. It was Aaron Miles and I forget the other guy's name. What was his name? Was it Joe or something?
Something like that. Yeah, my apologies. I'm not good with the names.
It was here. I can.
But they were playing while they look up the name.
I think it was Joe Ray. Is what this guy's name was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is Lumia and Ferrer, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it was Lumia Ferrer, and game one, Aaron was doing really great. Like I said to Joey's like last 3 or 4 turns of the game, I lost track of how many it was, but Aaron pretty much had it to where he was flickering that Mosasaurus, and the Ferrer player couldn't, recover 3 stones, and the only thing they said he could do to recover the stones was tapping elves to recover them. That's the only way workaround around it. But as a result, he couldn't play a lot. So game 1 goes to Aaron. Going to game 2, they shuffle, they cut, they draw their cards, resolve mulligans, and then this is when the Ferrer player, Joe, cuts the deck again from Aaron's deck, resulting in was it irreversible game state. So he ends up getting a game loss, which is a 2-0 for Aaron. So Aaron ends up winning it.
It's like this. It just sounds so weird. Like did yeah, and I'm not gonna say like what people should have done, but like did Aaron ever try and like stop him from like taking the deck, or was like the deck just? I mean, it was sitting,
watching it, and I was watching everything happening, and hearing the commentators talking, and I don't think anybody really noticed it happen, because all of it's like, you think about it, everything's going through the motions, like up, set up, and the next thing you know, you just see a hand come out from the end of the screen. It's a judge's hand, grab the deck, puts it to the side, and then there's this weird kind of like talking. You can't really hear it too well, and then that Joe guy just reaches his hand out, shakes his hand, and like gets up and walks away. And then they went ahead and cut to like the Jeremy's default Demo 7.3 screen, and came back, and that's when they explained to us that he had done that. They couldn't fix it. It was a game loss.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that, if you're just like setting up, and and Aaron's like focusing on something else, just not paying attention, and yeah, it definitely just happened like a half a second.
Yeah, so that was unfortunate.
That's crazy.
That was what we ended the day on.
Disappointing. Reminds me of the hold bear in the
I brought that up because that happened to Ryan Miles, Aaron's brother, and that's how he won that event.
Yeah,
it's a conspiracy.
But overall, the GP was a lot of fun to watch.
It was.
I'm excited for hopefully more coverage like that. I don't know what all Jeremy's doing for all the other ones, if he is and all that.
He did mention how he was going to go to some of the other ones. He said he wouldn't be at Minneapolis, which is the one in April. But I think that was the only one he mentioned he wasn't going to be. Right? Yeah. He said on stream he would be at Richardson. So he should, yeah.
Yeah, but he's going there to play.
Oh, he's going to play?
That's what I thought. That was the impression I got, because he and Stephanie are both going there, but they were both talking about how excited they are about Sealed. I got that.
Sealed.
Well, because they made they made it a point to bring up that Jeremy was not playing the entire season. He was purely doing stream setup and commentating.
That's unfortunate.
I
didn't realize that. Because I feel like stream's not necessary for a Sealed event. People are like, oh wow, I'll keep that Sealed deck in mind when I open my random packs and get those exact cards.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's interesting to different people. Like, I mean, like just like watching like any GP is probably exciting for a lot of people. And then like there's other people who would like to see like what people are playing in the Sealed, because like there's not a lot of like, so in Magic, people like there's a ton of people like doing analyses on these cards, and like, okay, like how to draft these sets, and and knowing like what card to pick and pass, and like what deck archetypes you can make. And like, yeah, that doesn't apply as much to Sealed, but I mean, people still need to know like what the power levels are, and like what cards they can make it, they can like base decks around.
Yeah.
And like so I mean, a lot of people would be interested in seeing that, because nobody in Force of Will does like analysis like that, besides like kind of me. But I mean, that was just for like one
Yep.
time for sealed. And
Also,
whatever,
I would appreciate the
whatever,
stream
guys.
still happening no matter what. I mean, I know you're saying who's going to want to see that. Is that if you're so into this game and you really like the game and you like to play it all the time, seeing any footage anywhere of the game happening
exactly.
is something I would be excited to look at. Like, hey, you know, I'm at home on a Saturday, I have nothing going on. Let's just throw this game on. Oh, cool! This is like live, something happening, and I'm watching it. That's kind of what I think is the biggest benefit of it.
Exactly, and that's definitely why, you know, like I think like just seeing any stream quality, like any streaming of Force will be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I also think the sealed one will be fun to watch because it's going to be like, man, what were people able to do? Like, let's see these crazy decks just go against each other. Like, you know, which starter deck ruler, not starter deck ruler, which basic draft ruler is going to make it on top, or what's going to be the most used, you know? What direction will people take?
I do feel like it's like, I feel like it, like, I'm kind of more on Colin's side of like, it's like the final decks are probably going to be like decks that people just drew nut cards in, and then like well, let's say like somebody draws like you know, what's her name, oh my gosh, Rhea, like, you know, she just wins tons of games by herself. Like once she ends up flipping, like there's not a lot you can do.
Well, you can't use Rhea.
You can't use rulers you pull.
You can't use rulers you pull. You're only allowed to use those draft rulers only.
Oh, is that something they changed, or
no? That's
just for GPs.
I don't know if it's just for GPs, but it's
because I know wasn't Demo73 talking about they were playing Rhea and sealed?
Maybe something else that was sealed, like his pre-release, but beyond that, this event would be strictly...
Is pre-release different?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Than this sealed?
Because you gotta make something about it competitive.
And I agree with it. Like, I'd rather have everything across the board, you know, completely fair rather than
right.
Because like, it's been talked about, like, if you pull Tigress over running that girl who's a panda gem creator,
right,
you have the way bigger hand on that one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's I just assumed it, like, they're both like pre-release and GP are both sealed events. Like, I was just curious on.
Yeah, I guess they're just structuring it differently. So yeah, it is different.
Well, no, that's great then, because like I agree. Like, it makes the stuff that you pull, like if somebody gets lucky and pulls a ruler, then they can't just like roll over everyone else.
Oh yeah.
Something I'm curious about is two things. Is one, how they would handle the God pack happening. Are they going to be nice enough to just give you a pack, make you buy the pack, or just exchange the pack? And then two, as Colin brought up this weekend, is preventing somebody from cheating, being like, oh, let me slip this, you know, card in and
it's
and
not
get
draft
advantage.
where you're pulling one and passing the side and stuff like that. You're opening these cards, and so like, what's this? Who's to tell you didn't pull every card you needed for this deck, and you had them in a pocket, switched them out real quick at some point. There's
not to mention, you build your decks, you're probably gonna be like, oh, it's 20 minutes to the next round. You're gonna get up and everybody can just walk out. Someone can go rest and switch them out real quick or to the car.
Yeah, I think there's a couple ways you can like get around like regulating that. One, you might have to like register your packs after you like after everybody pulls them. You might have to like it's difficult because like how much do you regulate it and how much do you not regulate it? Like the only really experience I have is in like Magic. We would do we would draft and we would write down the rares that we got in our packs, and then we would give those to the store owner, and then at the end of the night we would give up all of our rares that we had drafted, and so those all had to line up with what we pulled in our packs, and then at the end, first place got to pick one of the rares, and second place picked the next rare, and the third place. So it's like everybody there got 3 rares at the end of the night.
Yeah.
So like it might be something similar where like you need to record the cards you pull, but then what's to stop people from lying? Like, they're not going to be deck checks because there's probably going to be like hundreds of people there. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't really know how they would.
I mean, I'm sure they have a system down, and we'll see it when it comes to it. But I am really curious who the tournament organizer is and who's running it. That'd be.
But like, do you guys think there's a system that you can like regulate that? Like, I guess if you did like a closed doors, like that wouldn't work.
No, because people would need to go to the restroom and stuff like that, or have some sort of reason to get out.
Yeah, if you had like tables of like 6 people and 1 judge per table, like watching everyone like a hawk until they write down their deck list, and then you check it, make sure it's cards they have, and so they have 1 judge checking 6 people and watching and making sure. That would be my only solution, but that's a lot of resources.
That makes more sense, but like then like you need 10 judges for 60 people.
Yeah, that's my point. That's a lot of resources.
Yeah, and this Atlanta GP didn't even have enough to put 1 judge dedicated to the stream.
Yeah.
So it shows how many few people were ready to judge.
The stream was pointing out a lot of misplays that they had to pause the gameplay and stuff to fix because there was
judge over just to fix.
I don't see how you would be able to regulate like a sealed event like this.
Yeah. The only thing I can imagine it'd be time consuming is kind of like you said. You're gonna open your packs there. You're gonna build your deck there. It's kind of like honor system where everybody's kind of like there around you, and they can probably see if you're slipping a card, and then to write out your deck list in the spot for a deck check is the only thing I can imagine. And then, like I said, it's gonna take a really long time.
Yeah, and even then though, like you can write down like before you make your deck, you can like if you're like dedicated to cheating, there's been a decent amount of cheaters in like Magic and stuff, and a lot of the best ones are like have like the sleight of hand stuff.
Like the card trick magicians we were watching the other day.
Exactly.
You want to know why, Joey?
Like that. Why?
It's because sealed is designed as a side event.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I obviously I'm agreeing with you guys, but no need to beat a dead horse, man.
I know.
Anyway,
there's still some pieces of the horse that I see, and every time I see a tiny fragment of the horse, I get super mad. But
gotta go to town. No, but like, so like.
I'm curious to see how they handle it.
I don't.
Or if they handle it all, they might just be like, "It's airsoft, call your hits." But that's
a reference people get.
I'd much prefer in this situation. As much as I totally trust the other players, I'd prefer if it was like paintball where you could actually see the splatters. But I don't know. I don't know if there's a system they could do like that. But
you guys should definitely like. Keep an eye out, look for anything fishy if you're going there. Like,
I mean, we'll be documenting it.
Between games, we'll be documenting it.
Because I know if people want to cheat, there are ways to cheat.
I mean, somebody cheated at Worlds, you think that would scare them enough because there's more, not just judges, but like authority around. Yeah,
because we've had people cheat at Worlds. We've had people cheat at other events.
People in Magic have cheated like on the stream.
Yeah, and
multiple times.
And stuff happened on stream that wasn't necessarily cheating, but if that person had the intent, that could be construed as cheating. It was just misplays. But the way the misplays happened, and so that's with professionals and at Worlds and GP, like at a sealed event, like not only are you're gonna have people who wouldn't normally cheat or who might cheat maybe at their locals, but it's not a big deal. And all of a sudden now they have a way to that they never could before. And so that's a fear that came up like a couple days ago. I thought about that. Oscar said he thought about it forever ago and just didn't want to tell me.
I didn't think it was worth mentioning.
But so if you guys are curious about the GP, more information about it as well as the deck list, I'll have the news where I talk about it, specifics maybe. But Oscar's putting together our article at TCGScrubs.com that will have the top 8 deck list, as well as an honorary mention for one that Victor Harris piloted that was a burn tree deck that was pretty cool, and he lost to a Lumia just from a slight misplay on his part, which was unfortunate, but it would have been cool to see. But it was a really cool deck, so we'll have that there as well.
Which by the time this podcast is up, it should have been up for a day already.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Done and done.
But so
before we move on, I'm actually curious if anybody who is listening happens to know anything about Richardson GP, like who's running it. That'd be cool to find out. Just a name. I know last year Ken Tober did it, and he did a really great job. So I'd be curious to find out who it is, and if they want to come on here and talk to us, maybe see what the.
It's totally not so he can pay them off.
Yeah, totally. But anyways, hopefully you guys go to the GP. We'll be there. I'm super excited.
We'll be there. We'll have cards to trade for when I drop, because I'm not good at sealed.
Yeah, I'm just pumped to play some games with people.
Yeah, it'll be nice to see a bunch of Force Will players all in one place outside of our locals, and to meet like Jeremy and Stephanie and any of you guys watching. It'll be cool to meet people in person. So yeah.
Colin's
so our
much
next-
shorter than he looks. He's about like 5'2", just so you know.
I used to be back in the day.
When I was a kid. All right, moving on.
I'm sure Joey remembers. So next one is our favorite cards.
No,
ever.
not yet. ARG Richmond also happened.
Oh,
Don't forget that was a thing. 19
Was
people in
it?
attendance. It wasn't very big, I would say. But yeah, no, it was a
I mean,
thing.
yeah, it wasn't. It
what
wasn't
was-
like ARG Texas where you're like 20, 27.
Let-
28.
First of all, we
let's-
need to
let's-
separate these into different things. You had a states event, which stores ran, and you have this ARG events, which are circuit series events that the actual company runs. There's a difference. But
So
yes, we had, like,
let's
20
do a
people.
quick rundown. Let's top 8, and we'll give our quick thoughts on the top.
They didn't give top 8, but they got top 4. And that was first place was Fair, second place was Lumia, third was Yggdrasil, and fourth was Lumia.
Oh, that's not bad actually.
Yeah.
I like that. That was a good. I mean, we're in a three maybe 4 ruler format right now, so we're just going to see variations of these rulers until probably the next set, unless we get a breakout deck.
Yep.
And it's not
But-
horrible. I actually,
Yeah,
sorry, John, real quick, this is a real thing. I think there's other decks that could come in and just completely surprise everybody if they're built very well. You know, like the way Lumia just came in. So I could see something random just shooting in. So it's not like just for people to disappoint in. Build well
What,
and come in and surprise everybody.
Yeah, I think surprise decks will happen, but as far as the overall meta, we're looking at Fair, Lumia, and it's going to switch out between Yggdrasil and IU. I think is going to depend on there. And we'll have breakout decks here and there, but I don't think we'll have one that'll stick the way that Fair and Lumia are going to stick right at this point. I think when the next set comes out is when we'll get our big shakeups. But and that being said, all things considered, especially with how powerful green is and how that would contribute to Fair, I think it's a pretty decent format we're in. It's much better than some point out. Yeah, it's the best we've had since LEL. Granted, LEL was like godlike amazing, but it's way better than the Persia Fox format we had.
Joe, you're gonna
Speaking of which, I wanted to bring up Oscar. You had said something interesting to me that that some of the team were testing Gil, green Gil,
Yeah.
and
Right.
apparently he, yeah.
That-
Sorry, go.
so yeah, that's on stream as well. You can see it right at the end, the final match. Stephanie was asking Ryan about a deck that they were going to run, and he says yes. Actually, I think Outer World were the other guys who had come up with this deck. That was the Guild deck. They said it was very good. I'm trying to remember everything he had said about this. I'm already forgetting.
He said basically it would be it could have been the breakout deck in here, except it gets shut down by IU, and they were
Right.
expected a big IU turnout, and that's basically they said it beats every other deck except for IU. It was essentially what he said. So we might be able to see a variation of that since IU isn't as big as we thought it was going to be. It feels like pretty
Interesting.
died down.
I mean, he said lots of draw power, lots of like answers to stuff like cancels and whatnot. So I'm wondering what it could be.
I mean, just the one I fought at our locals was pretty decent, and a lot of combos I didn't think of. So I could tell there's something in there that's good. I mean,
literally, I think like having like 2 1-cost cancels and like Vanish and Outer World Dreams is like something just to look and do by itself.
Otherworld.
And I know there's probably a lot, like there's some crazy like searching and like ultra magic you can do that I know Zach and I were kind of brewing around with the deck like probably a month ago now, and there was just some interesting things. We never really like took a look into it, but I know that it could definitely have some crazy good combos and good stuff to do.
Otherworld Dreams. You said Outer World.
That was it. Sorry, I was
Team Outer Worlds
I was thinking,
Dreams.
yeah,
They got their own card. But yeah, no, that was the ARG. We don't have much other information. I was trying to see if we can get at least a ruler breakdown, but if anybody who may have gone may know, message us.
Yeah,
Let us
because
know.
I've mentioned before, it's pretty much, for whatever reason, ARG is really bad at releasing info from their official events. Like, even when I've emailed them, I've talked to the guy who runs it and stuff like that, I can't get information like ruler breakdown, deck list, different things like that. For whatever reason, it's really hard to get that information.
So we don't really know if these are like typical deck lists or
Right.
Yeah, not at this point.
Okay.
Or if the other 15 people in attendance all ran IU. That'd be cool to know.
And then the last little bit was the popper thing in Italy was a thing. Is that real?
Let us know if that was real, guys. They posted about it in After Dark, and I was like, oh, that sounds super cool. I never heard about this. Apparently, they were saying that there was a big popper tournament, but it was an After Dark, so it's hard to tell if that was real or not. So let us know.
They claimed 190 players this popper tournament.
Yeah. So
I call BS.
Yeah.
It'd be cool. I think
I'm very skeptical.
popper is pretty interesting in Force
Yeah.
World.
It's a lot of fun. I liked it.
But yeah, so moving on to our final segment.
Oh wait, actually, I was also. No, I was messing with you. Go ahead. Yes, Colin.
Oh man.
So the our favorite cards overall, and this is the entire game, not just like favorite New Frontiers card. And it's not necessarily like, oh, what do we think is our favorite strongest card? It's just like our favorite card is what it sounds like. So we'll start ahead with.
Was it?
We'll start with Oscar.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I hate to do this to you. Somebody just sent me the ruler breakdown for the ARG.
Oh my god!
It was 5 Lumia,
go.
5 Lumia, 2 IU, 3 Yggdrasil, 2 Carrick, a Mars, 3 Farer, Mikage 0, and the Kaguya.
All right, hold on. I didn't hear the rest of that. I went I went out after you said Mars. Listen, guys, for people playing Mars, Soul is Mars but better. It's literally Mars. No. 100% true. He produces two colors from Energize. He has a stronger flip side. He does more on his flip side. His card that goes with him for when he flips is better.
That's not
because it provides 2 counters and it bounces back into your hand, so you have safety net and you can keep bouncing him. No.
No, so Demon Namblot is like a super duper good card.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think that's another reason is Namblot.
No, Demon Namblot is terrible compared to...
Hold on. What does Namblot do, Colin? Tell me without looking it up. What does Namblot do?
No.
Why is it terrible?
Namblot, I forget. It's a forgettable card.
2 cost, 5/5, swiftness. It does 400 damage.
And I could totally see that's why Mars would be running.
That's not the point of the deck.
Mars.
That's not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, so like Oscar was saying, it's a 2 cost 5/5 with swiftness, which is super good. When enters the field, it does like 400 or 500 damage.
Does 400 damage to J Resonator.
And then at the end of turn, you put it back in your hand.
Choice. Here's the thing. Your Ancient Magic deck should not be around bouncing a Resonator and dealing damage to their Resonators. You passively do that. With your other cards in your deck. Your deck should be about building counters so you can just Invitation to Disaster them, Warflame Summoning to do field clear. It should be about the counters. Otherwise, don't run a counter deck. Run a pure red aggro deck. So have stuff that builds counters.
If you were watching this and you ran that deck, or you know somebody who did run that deck, what happened to your
That's the other thing. You can
let me know.
Blue.
Message me, and I'll actually build the deck and we'll run it. We'll feature in a video against your Soul deck, and we'll see how it comes out. Okay?
You can splash blue and you get Soul Stones.
Somebody message me the deck list so I can do that.
Soul Stones. Yeah, that doesn't matter. Soul Stones give you counters passively as well, or not passively, but you can tap them for that. So you always are using all your will. Just better in every respect. All right. So that's that. Well, I went blank. 0 Kaguya. Okay, yeah, I'm bored. All right. So the favorite cards. Oscar. I just want to know what your favorite cards are.
All right. Joey always goes first. Joey, what's your favorite card?
Wait, so was it favorite card?
Are you not ready?
Right.
I can go.
Okay, no, I am. I just wasn't sure if it was like favorite card or like strongest card or how exactly.
That's what we said at the beginning.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready, Oscar?
Okay. No.
Okay, go.
I'm good. Okay. So, my favorite card, I thought about it, and it's probably Reflector Frame. Yeah. Okay. And so, like, I was thinking, like I just really love
guys.
playing.
Joey was the jerk who ran Reflector Feint at our locals and was the only one and would win every tournament.
Yes, I would. Well, I win every one. But,
like 98%.
But I did really enjoy playing
Reflector Frame was.
Like he's so much fun though. Like you get like draw power, you get like you can run him in like aggro shells too, so he's like super versatile. And like when he flipped, he just like had a shit ton of counters, and like Change the World was such a great card with him. And like you know, everybody says like, oh, Reflector Frame, whatever. he's just so broken and so OP, and which I mean, yeah, he was pretty ridiculous, but like that's the reason that it's so fun like playing him. I was
pretty much like define Alice.
I like how Joey's like, all right, I won't pick. I'm gonna just pick my favorite card instead of the strongest card. So my favorite card is literally the strongest card ever printed in the Force of Will history.
Yeah, but like, yeah, okay, he was. Yeah, I don't know if he's the strongest card ever printed, but yeah, well, like, I want to play like I want to pick the card when I thought of this. Like, I want to pick the card that was like, oh, like when I play this, it's just super fun and like this, like when I play it from my hand, like it has a huge impact, and like I love playing this when I cast and it lands, like it's really good. And so Reflector Frame was like so much fun to actually play.
To anybody listening who may not be familiar with it, it was a card that came out in the second set of the Alice cluster that ended up changing the way everything was played going forward. They ended up having to errata it to help slow it down, and that wasn't even enough, and it eventually banned.
That's what forced the print Black Moonbeam originally.
It was, which became a pain of its own. But
because they're like, oh yeah, Reflector Frame can run Black Moonbeam too. Didn't think of that.
And the issue wasn't necessarily like, here's this deck. It's a Reflector Frame deck. It has cards ABC. The point was you didn't see ruler diversity anymore because you just any built deck that had a certain ruler replace the ruler with the Reflector Flame, and it just worked. Perfectly.
Yeah, and like I definitely agree with that to an extent. Like I do think that there were a lot of decks back in the day where like
and a bunch of free abilities. Imagine you had Soul, and you know how you have Ancient Magic counters. And you're like, all right, I'm gonna spend 2 to play this card to draw a card or something like that. Imagine that, except you have 2 counters, and you're like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna gain a counter, and because I gained a counter, now I get to draw a card. And those gain counters are good for me, and the more gain counters I get, the more stuff I can do. So it was the weirdest concept. It should have been she should have like passively gained them each turn, and then you spend those to do those abilities. But for some reason you play the abilities and gain stuff to do stuff later. It was the weirdest design, and somehow it got past R&D.
Yeah. But I don't want to talk about like the fact that like I feel like some of the decks, like as soon as Reflector Frame got banned, we started seeing like Feasting Turbo, like Turbo Feasting, which like you can't put Reflector Frame into like Turbo Feasting to an extent. Obviously you can, but you wouldn't get like the turn 1 Quibers. And then like Mikage, like you can't run a Mikage deck like a Reflector Frame deck. Although, and then like further, like there was Fox, and like Fox never, like he was his own shell, and so you'd never run a Reflector Frame deck into a Fox deck.
It almost killed the game.
But this is super fun though. Like Reflector Frame is great. I don't know, but that's just what I was thinking about too. Like going back to like what I wanted to play and what my favorite thing playing was. And yes, I was a dirty Reflector Frame player, but.
Yeah, but I think any deck you made with Reflector Frame would have beat those decks as well. Yeah, you couldn't run those decks, but the reason we saw those decks is because suddenly we were able to make those decks. And so I think we had rulers that did similar things before, Joey, so I think it's more so we now saw these decks that always technically existed and could have existed, but they were stifled out. And you had...
Yeah, kind of, but like if you had like a Prisha deck, like you couldn't build a Prisha deck into like... That Prisha deck wouldn't have worked with the Reflector
with the
Frame.
exception of BFA.
Yeah, specific rulers. But I just, I don't know. I just feel like they got into more diverse rulers
with Fox.
And like
Fox. I said Fox, but Ancient Magic I don't think would have ever taken off with Reflector Frame. I mean, it never really took off, but until Alhamak came out, but.
Yeah, but
it's because during its prime is when Prisha OTK happened. So I think Ancient Magic missed.
Yeah, and so I think that Prisha, like a Prisha deck, you can't play Reflector Frame in like a Prisha shell like that. And who knows? You might have even beat Reflector Frame. I don't know.
Prisha maybe, but Prisha was a mistake as well. But we'll move on from that.
Well, one other thing I was gonna say, I remember there was a meme when we first started playing the game about Reflector Frame. and it was just like, oh look, here's Jace when he was a child or whatever. Feel old yet?
Oh yeah, no, he's pretty broken. Yeah, I mean, my second choice is probably gonna be Vlad.
Yeah, your
she's
Vlad
super
deck
cool.
was really interesting. I like that. I mean, I didn't like it, but like it was interesting. I didn't like playing against it. All right, Oscar.
So my choice, you would think it would be Dark Alice because that was my favorite ruler to play with, and I'm not just picking.
Yeah, I mean, I would have expected it to be a Seeker
What?
Kage one.
Oscar's like,
Oh,
what?
oh.
Click, find a different card.
Yeah, no. I happened to pick a ruler as well, and especially for my second pick, but no. Crimson
I was gonna
Girl
pick
in
a.
the Sky.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Red Riding Hood. Yep. She was the green one who got to flip if you played Reforth the Castle in Heaven. And when on her J ruler side, the reason why it made her so great is she would pretty much double the attack or defense of resonators you control, which even if you had a basic resonator and that addition in play, it was already buffing it. So it wasn't buffing it +2, it was buffing it +4. And so not just that, but darkness and fire spells couldn't just target her at all, which helped get her around Black Moonbeam if you're playing Wanderer. And, from fire spells that were kind of meant to burn her and kill her to get rid of her. But my favorite thing to run with this, and I did it more recently, and I did it with Zach, is the Red Riding Hood that gains a buff for every green stone you have. With this, and all of a sudden, it's not just +5, it's +10, plus the field is +4.
And yeah, then you get swiftness too.
So, yeah, swiftness, and I'll just use Bear Magic and swing in for like 23 or something insane. But when I did run this, and you guys remember, I was trying to make 10 mana thing, doing all the Oz Tale, Wizard of Oz stuff. So it brings back memories, and that's also the reason why I like it.
I do remember 10K. That's yeah. I definitely remember that deck we played. It was really strong.
Yeah, I pulled up I put like 4 tabs, and Dark Owls was one of them. But
So, yeah, I like that pick. It's that is a pretty interesting deck to watch all this stuff. The problem was like, especially your Resonator hate just like killed it super easy because I feel like it'd do better now because I feel like we have more stuff to counter it both in the form of barrier and in the form of an ungodly amount of cancels. So I feel like if you made a Wanderer deck with it now, it might actually do a lot better.
And maybe I'll give it a shot because one of the favorite cards to run with it was Gretel. Just tap 2, put her in, get a stone. And you just ramp those stones up real quick,
Yeah, but Gretel was fucking.
So broken. I was thinking about rulers, and then I was like, no, that'd be super cop-outy to pick a ruler for my favorite card. So I didn't.
I picked a regular card too, guys.
Just so you guys know, I'm sure you guys already know, if I had picked a ruler, it would have been Sylvia. But I miss Sylvia so much, especially Sylvia after Fingal Fury came out was great. But the card that I picked that I miss a lot because it's rotated out was super fun, especially because like there'd be days like I would go and want to play games with him. I'm like, oh shoot, I'm like really low on table salt. I need to replenish this. So
can I guess?
You're gonna guess it.
Yeah,
you guys know.
I'm pretty sure we all know
I think you know
is.
what it is.
Split
Heaven and Earth. Yeah.
My second guess would have been Ame.
I was thinking about Ame, and I was like, that was a really late one. Like I ran Split Heaven from the get go. Because I really like that card. I like the art on it too and stuff. Like I had the hollows of it. Joey had such a cheese deck. Oh my gosh! Like you'd think he was from that whatever the name of that state is that makes cheese.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, yeah. That was a funny joke. Anyways, but Split Heaven and Earth. So it's the one that is 2 costs, 2 reds, does 300 damage to both players for every special magic stone they control. So before Hook was out, this was the sort of deterrent for special magic stones because you want a deterrent for special magic stones, which unfortunately we don't have one now. But to keep it like what's to stop people from running, like what's the consequence of running dual stones versus single stones? And I like that there was consequences for it. You couldn't just easily run like you can now. You can run 10 stones that produce the same 2 colors across all 10 stones. And I don't like that there's no consequence for that at this point in time. Hook was too far on the other end. Split Heaven was nice.
A couple of stones have consequence because you'd have to pay your life with them.
Pay 300, but I don't think that's strong enough in my opinion. I like it's decent, like don't get me wrong, but those only are 4 stones. There's 6 other stones in that stone deck that don't have consequence. But Split Heaven was the way to do that, 3, and it does it to both players. And I ran decks with special magic stones and still ran Split Heaven because I knew I ran less than Joey did, for example.
Yeah, and like usually
so
even if you didn't have, you had more than the other person, they were probably at a lower life, so you just play it and kill them. And like, yeah, I'm taking.
It was great because it'd be like, especially because I'd usually save them for later, and so they would have more stones out. Like, say they have 6 stones out, and they're like, oh, I'm safe. I have 1,800 life, and they have nothing on their board, and it just comes on my turn, and I'll top deck, and I'll back 2. I win.
Cool. I'm a tap 2. I'm a Crimson Ray you. I gained 600 life. I'm still alive.
Anyways.
It can happen.
But I really enjoyed that card a lot. And I ran it inside of my Sylvia deck since she passively produced green with the red. So I was able to run mono red and green cards and run Split Heaven without any consequence. So that was really a really cool combo that I loved. And I missed Split Heaven a lot. It was great.
Yeah, Split Heaven was pretty nasty. Pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, it was an interesting card. I remember of all of us, again, Colin's one who ran it, and you always tell when he was getting ready to cast it because he'd sit there and like look at your cards and be like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's calculating how much damage it's about to do to you. But I mean, I'm glad that when we picked our favorite cards, they all happen to be what would be Wanderer cards now, not just New Frontiers cards. Because I know one thing that's been brought up recently was to do more Wanderer related stuff. So. Maybe we can start building some decks and just have some fun with them if you guys are down.
Yeah, I still have my deck ideas.
Yep. So Oscar, if you had to pick a card that wasn't a ruler, like Colin was talking about, which card would that be? Which card do you go with?
Okay, so I picked 2 others that would have been my favorites. The first one, you want to guess it? No.
The first probably Cheshire Cat.
Cheshire Cat.
Cheshire Cat.
It was Cheshire Cat.
The old one. The old one.
Yeah. And the second one was Glimpse of Kaguya.
Really? Glimpse of Kaguya.
Yeah.
And the reason why I like this is because at the time, we had lots of God's Arts, and this would just straight up cancel the God's Art. It's like, canceled it, and you couldn't activate your God's Art again, which was great.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, so I mean, if I had to choose a non-rule card, probably be like, first, like maybe I was thinking like Morgiana, because she was just so nasty with Reflective Rain. And the second one I was really thinking of was probably Law of Silence. Yeah. Because that shit was just not very fair.
Oh. Yeah,
Law of Silence. Let me just pick some other cards that ran in a Reflector Frame deck.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Law of Silence is just so incredibly broken. Like, they just don't get a turn.
I mean, it sucked because you're like, all right, one response to that. Let me try cast these quick cast cards real quick.
Yeah, no. I will say a strong contender for Sylvia's Soul. Soul is probably... Sylvia's got the nostalgia and stuff, but I feel like I've had more fun playing Soul than any other deck. Something about that deck is just a lot of fun for me. I'll just throw that out there since we're doing seconds and thirds over here. Jeez.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a good podcast.
Oh, I know. It was a lot of fun. So I really want to go build a deck right now just to play with you guys later. So I'm actually gonna do that. Y'all build Wanderer decks and let's do that.
So if you guys want to find out a little bit more about what decks we might build for Wanderer, we'll put that out on our mini podcast. We'll be talking about like what decks we would build for Wanderer. If we do a video about that going forward and some of our favorite cards to put into our decks for that. So that'll be on Patreon for our mini podcast. But thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you guys next time. Any last thoughts before?
Last thing I want to throw in, IU, currently $50 on TCG Player. I just want to kind of track that in like history.
It went down.
Each of ours.
It was at 65.
Yeah, there's an low for 70, but 50 is low. But we'll track that each podcast, see kind of where it goes.
All right. See you guys next time.
See you guys next time.